Hello, and welcome to Battersea Park. This is the Peace Pagoda, built in 1985 by a Buddhist sect, depicting different scenes from Buddha's life. Ignore the gym attire. I'm on my way to work, cycling in. It's quite early, but I've only got one or two takes of this before I need to get on my way, so I'll try and be brief. Wanted to talk today about the writing process I've been going through. So I talked to you a little bit in the last vlog about some new material I've been working on, mainly around kind of my experience with depression, trying to get that mix of, sort of putting myself into the material, it being quite heartfelt, but obviously still needing to be comedy, which is a difficult balance. But that's where I wanted to kind of go with, as a sort of experiment after doing that with some of the Pete Sanderson stuff. And the other thing there was it was very conscious of trying to put that into what I thought could be a good idea for a set that I would be, a sort of Edinburgh hour that I wanted to put together. So I did put in for the Leicester Comedy Festival. I don't think I've got it, but the working title I put in for that was Nothing to See Here, which I thought was quite good. But then actually a friend of mine has pointed out that in terms of the themes of sort of philosophy and nihilism, Nothing Really Matters would be a lot better. So that's kind of what we're working towards. But yeah, the sort of depression stuff, I sort of did it in 3 bits, but one of them has now made it into the set. It's worked really well. I sort of had to tweak it in a few different ways, but the other 2 were becoming a bit. Well, I think ultimately the issue was because they kind of they have references, touch points of very specific old films, getting the audience up to speed on that and explaining that. I couldn't quite find a way of doing that and it being worth the time. So I put those down for a bit, but got something out of the process. That's good. Overall, the gigs in sort of September and October have gone well. I'll probably do another vlog maybe at the end of October, sort of talk about them all. But I have managed to sort of really get the existing material into a really kind of good state in terms of I know it all and I can rotate that all, which is really good. But the other thing I've done as part of that process is write it all out, and it is about half an hour of material. And then that was a sort of precursor to I'm going to work in a couple of weeks doing a session with a professional writer. So he's asked for me to sort of layer all that out for him, and then we're going to kind of go through probably a subset of that and try and kind of punch it up. And he's also going to talk to me about some of the sort of best practices and disciplines about writing, which is definitely something I'm lacking at the moment. In terms of writing, I'm not very good at just sort of sitting down, putting pins under my nails and kind of getting into the material. I'm better at, once I realise I've got a good idea, sort of working with it in a live setting and trying to make it work. But then there's still not the density of jokes there that it needs to be. Some of the feedback I've had is that some of my setups are a little bit long-winded, so I need to sort of put interstitial jokes in there to kind of until we get to the wider point and the wider picture. So that's something I want to work on with this guy. So we'll see how that goes. I'll definitely sort of talk about that. Then the other thing I've been doing, I'm going to go to more sort of going to try and go to a few more writing workshops. There's one at the Queer Comedy Club that I signed up for. May also look going to the Bill Murray this Sunday. I know that they used to do them, I'm assuming they still do. So that again sort of just kind of keeps me accountable. Hopefully will kind of maybe just reintroduce me to some best practices that perhaps I've forgotten, because I have kind of done courses and workshops and read a bunch of books about this, but sometimes that's probably the bit that I don't absorb and adopt. Definitely is an issue. And then the other thing I've been doing is trying to, when I've actually had a free evening away from kind of gigs and bringers, is actually sit down and watch more comedy specials and do so more consciously. So I'm sitting there with a laptop, pausing it at various points and writing about, okay, well that was a good joke, and it was about, and consider the structure and why it worked and the type of joke. And then even kind of writing out some of the better ones and then putting them in a file as kind of jokes I want to steal from a structural perspective. So really just trying to widen my vocabulary and my toolkit in that space, because I think I'm kind of getting more comfortable with the performance and making the actual shows more performative and being confident on stage, and even my persona I'm more comfortable in terms of the topics and the styles that I want to be working with. But it's then that material that I think is currently not dense enough that I need to sort of not only be able to make the material better, but also be able to generate more material, and sort of then be able to sort of make that more bespoke and rotate that into different scenarios, but still within the overall sort of persona that I'm trying to present. So yeah, that's where we're at. Overall still enjoying it. It's going pretty well, but hope you're well. Thanks for your time. Have a nice day. Bye.
Next video should be here. Enjoy.